We live in the most prosperous time that humans have ever lived.
That's right.
But even though we have all this technology, all this automation, we have unprecedented information, the knowledge that's at our fingertips, the opportunities to be efficient, and just all the opportunities that exist. Why are we still fighting fires all the time? It's because we're not effective. That's what today's webinar is about. Hi, I'm Mark McKenna, and welcome to our presentation, 3 Ways to Maximize Work Performance Without Sacrifice.
Welcome, everybody. I am Les Patterson, and you are in the right place today. We are here. We're learning. We're going to share some techniques with you. We're going to share some tools that'll help you achieve great results in the things that you're doing at work without, like Mark said, sacrificing your sanity. We're going to share some problem solving, some prioritization techniques, and really we're going to focus on how to fight fewer fires at work. Get out of that crisis mode. And so thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. And we got some great things for you to learn.
So here's the agenda, what we're going to do today. We're going to start out by sharing Clyde's story with you and how it relates. We're going to share the 3 strategies. These are strategies for designing your work so that you can boost your performance without feeling overwhelmed, burned out, stressed out. That's our goal for today. Can't wait to share these strategies with you. We're hoping it'll take around 45 minutes, and then we'll have a Q&A. So ask your questions, please, as we go along. We're hoping for about 60 minutes total. You might have seen on the sidebar that you can download the webinar worksheet, and hope that any of you will do that. We're going to take that screen down in just a minute. Here's some details, though. You can chat and ask questions. Like I said, please do so. We'd love to hear all of your comments and especially answer any questions you have. So look for that in the sidebar. If the audio or video gets poor on your end, reconnect, there's a reconnect button, and there should also be, you can just refresh your internet browser.
Okay, so the pot at the end of the rainbow. This is what you are each here for. And so we'd like to tell you what you're going to get by spending a few minutes with us today. And we really do appreciate your time you've invested with us, and we promise to make it worth your time. So we're going to share with you a set of strategies, things that you can put in place right now to really make a massive increase in your production at work, the things that you do every day. And we're going to share some tips and some techniques that are really going to help you with your mindset. We're going to share some things that are going to help you change the way that you approach work and how you think about work. And we're going to create some confidence and confidence in what we do and the role that we have, no matter what kind of work that we do. And also, even in our personal life, we're going to give you some things that create some confidence so you can put out fires for good. And then we've got a bonus for you. We've got something that's really fun. And in fact, I get to tell you about it a little bit more here in just a bit.
Yeah, to be announced. Keep going, Les.
Okay, so let me introduce you first to Mark. Mark McKenna is a good friend of mine. I've really had the pleasure of knowing Mark for several years now. He's a father, he's a husband, and he's a business owner. One of my favorite parts is he's an author. He's written a book called Put Out the Fires. And here in just a few minutes, Mark is actually going to read that book to us. It's a children's book, but so much more than that. Mark is a manager. He's a professional coach. He makes a difference in people's lives. He coaches them, helps them really improve their performance at work. So thanks for hanging out with us, Mark.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here. And I'm glad to introduce you all to Les Patterson, a great friend of mine, excellent father and husband, and he's a veteran. He's the chief storyteller and CEO of Red Edge Marketing, his business, and he has more than 25 years in radio marketing and sales. And I just really admire Les. I'm so grateful that he's here presenting with me today. Thanks, Les.
We're going to have a lot of fun, and we appreciate you guys being here, investing some time with us. We're going to share some great ideas with you.
Yeah, check out this picture. Does this person look like the way you feel sometimes? You start out your day with a plan. You start out a day for how you're going to accomplish all these great things. You eat your healthy breakfast, you do your exercise, you're invigorated, ready to go. And before you even turn on your computer sometimes to start work, or before you even sit down in your office chair, fires come up. That is one of the most prevalent, persistent problems that we as professionals face. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. What are these fires? One way that I like to define them is they're unscheduled interruptions and they're distractions.
They are distractions.
They keep you from your priorities. They cause you to be reactive instead of proactive. Not the way that we want to be operating.
And so we know what those are in our life, but we'd like to hear from you. What are the sources of the fires that you deal with? So we've thrown up a poll here on the right side of your screen that you can give us your input. So take a look at those questions. We're going to leave this poll up here for just a little bit. So quickly chime in there. Give us your input. What are the sources of the problems that you're dealing with at work? Is it coworkers? Is it management? Is it your own your own time? How do you manage your own time? I know that's something that I think about.
Yeah. So we're asking you to do something here, and some of you have started putting your answers in. Thank you so much. We're hoping everyone can contribute, so that it would be fun to just kind of see what are the fires that we're facing.
Yeah, that's right.
As I look through this list, there's a little bit of all of them for sure in my own life. So, okay, we're going to give you about 10 more seconds to put in your responses, and then we're going to move on. So, right now it's looking like time management is pretty overwhelming. And Les, you were saying earlier that you think that's probably if you picked one, that's the one you would pick.
Yeah, most definitely. And whatever position, whatever size of a corporation or a company that you're in, whatever your role in that company is, we have to manage our own time. And sometimes we've got a supervisor or a boss that is directing some of that. But even within that, we've got to manage how we use that time. Yeah. And so, that would be top on my list for sure.
Well, we're going to end the poll here. So 25% of the attendees said it's coworkers or people that they manage or supervise. That's the one I would have picked. And then the one that Les picked, along with 75% of the attendees, is your own time management.
Yeah.
Wow.
So thanks for giving your input, and hopefully as we go forward here, we're gonna share some ideas with you. So, okay, now it's time for the fun part. We get to listen to Clyde's story, Put Out the Fires. Okay, so this is the story that Mark has written. It's an actual book. I've got a copy of it right here in my hands. I've read this story. Again, it's a beautifully illustrated, beautifully told story, and we get to listen to Mark read it live for us. So sit back and enjoy. Here's Mark McKenna with Put Out the Fire.
If there's a time to get out popcorn, it's right now. A brave man whose name is Clyde seeks out adventure while others hide. He's not a hero yet, as you may have guessed, but let's see how he does when put to the test. Eager to prove he is worthy of praise, Clyde grows tired of his boring days, so he picks up his sword and sticks out his chest and starts down the road to an epic quest. It doesn't take long as he roams through the land to find someone in need of his helping hand, for in less than an hour as he enters a town, he sees burning buildings with flames all around. To the rescue, he yells as he runs to the creek, scooping up water with expert technique. He throws a few buckets, but the flames rise higher. Put out the fire, Clyde, put out the fire. He doubles his efforts, and soon it is done. Putting out fires is really quite fun. The people in town clap and cheer. How lucky they are that Clyde was near. He sits a while to enjoy his glory, but his break is now done. He must continue his story. With sword in hand, Clyde walks down the road. This man is clearly in hero mode. As he enters the next town, he hears a shout. Another fire? Put it out, Clyde, put it out. He scoops up more water with hardly a strain, and soon hot coals is all but remains. Wow, 2 fires in just one day? Clyde marvels at his own gallant display. How many? Count 'em, 1 and 2. After so much success, what's a hero to do? Well, carry on, of course, and continue the streak. So he picks up his bucket and follows the creek. Sure enough, before too long, he finds another town with fire blazing strong. And just like before, with the skill of a master, he puts out the fire. But this time, even faster. Fighting these fires makes Clyde feel good. If he could do this all day, trust me, he would. He now starts to feel like his life has purpose. His extinguishing talent has come to the surface. With a skip in his step, dreaming of fires to smother, Clyde leaves the 3rd town in search of another. As he enters the 4th town, steady and bold, his bucket is ready to throw on the coals? Clyde looks around, no flames in sight. If there are no fires, what will he fight? He stands there thinking, one hand on his hip, when a woman approaches to offer a tip. Are you the brave man, she says with a frown, who puts out the fires in every town? Clyde proudly responds, yes, ma'am, that's me. I've made our land safer, you have to agree. I am the hero who never tires. I am Sir Clyde, master of the fires. That's great, says the woman, but what a waste of skill. Why put out fires when there's a dragon to kill? Clyde takes a step back and shakes his head. Should he have been fighting a dragon instead? He sets off at once to fix his error. Once firefighter, now dragon slayer. The end.
Wow. What a great story, Mark. Rich pictures, beautiful words, and really, as why we're here today, there's a principle that lies underneath the story that you're sharing here with us, Mark.
Yeah. Thanks, Les. It's looks like a kid's story, but maybe is a little bit more. We're having a few people mention they can't see the screen. I was wondering if you could please comment if you can or cannot. Good that Dannon's saying he can. And just appreciate if you could just chime in real quick about whether you're seeing the screen or not. Looks like we have our own little fire we're putting out in the middle of our presentation. I'm glad Dannon can.
Yeah.
The few of you that can't, maybe try to refresh your browser. We're going to continue on. Okay. So, Les, I want to talk about the story a little bit. I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
Have you respond to them.
Awesome.
Okay. And you listening, answer these in your own head. Why did Clyde leave his home at the beginning of the story?
You know, he was on a quest. He wanted to be that guy, that hero to put out the fires.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, what can I do? How can I contribute to the world? I'm going to go find out what's out there, how I can contribute.
You know, I think a lot of little boys, I was one of those at one point, said, hey, I'm going to grow up and be a firefighter, because there's something heroic about that, saving and helping.
Absolutely. All right. So Les, what did Clyde find in the first town?
An opportunity to be a hero. There's fires. Opportunity to make a difference.
That's right. And when he showed up in the first town, there were fires. The town was burning down, just flames everywhere. And so, as you can see in the picture, gets his bucket out, does some good, puts out the fire.
Yep.
All right, Les, what did Clyde think his heroic purpose was?
You know, put out fires. You know, his adventure, his heroic purpose was put out the fires. A great thing.
I'm going to be a firefighter.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us can relate. I can fix things.
That's right. But here's the kicker. What would have happened if Clyde kept putting out fires?
You know, Mark, the very first time you asked me this question right here, this is where I realized, oh, yeah, it's good to be able to put out fires, but eventually the fires, you can't keep up with them. They become overwhelming. They wear us down. And that's what would happen to Clyde. That's it's happened to me. And I'm sure those that are joining us, it's happened to a lot of you. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. And really, you think about it, there's a never ending supply of fires for us to put out.
Yes, there is.
So one of the points with this, that I love this distinction between efficiency and effectiveness. When we're trying to be efficient, we're trying to optimize output, as little input as possible, get a lot of output, but we are not giving regard to whether we're working on the right things in the first place. That's what effectiveness is optimizing purpose. And I think that's a higher operating mode for us to be in. So here is what I love. Stop fighting fires, slay dragons instead. We're going to show you how to do that. That's what we're hoping that you can get out of this, is some specific, put them to test ideas for how you can slay dragons.
Okay, so those of you that are inputting there, we appreciate the help from the audience on doing things to get your screen up and working. And so thank you, everybody, on that. So we're going to transition right now, Mark, and we're going to share 3 specific strategies to help you slay dragons instead of putting out fires. So strategy number 1, single task, 2 hours a day. Mark?
All right. So single tasking, if you haven't heard that term, there's a few other ways that people describe it. One is working in flow, or another one is doing deep work. And what it means is, it's pretty simple. It means you're just doing one thing. You're not trying to multitask. It's obviously the opposite of multitasking. Some people pride themselves on that. We're inviting you to single task instead. So if you're wondering what it looks like,
look at that laser focus you've got there, Mark.
I look pretty intense. In fact, my little daughter took this picture. She picked up my phone somehow and took a picture. I didn't even know she was there because I was so laser focused, working on one task. That's the key. I want to talk about how can you do this. So first off, you need to set aside a block of time, like 2 hours. And we're hoping you'll do this tomorrow. Okay, everybody? So 2 hours tomorrow, you're going to set it aside today, though. Say, what are the 2 hours tomorrow that you can single task? You will decide today what you're going to accomplish during that 2 hour block of time tomorrow. One of the most important things is that you set up some sort of way so that you won't be distracted during that time. We're talking about phone notifications. We're talking about email notifications, coworkers. How can you remove those distractions so that you're in charge of the pacing and you're in charge of the priority? And then you're just going to work. You're going to go through it and try to work for 2 hours.
Mark, I'd like to throw in here just a little bit for our listeners, because I already know I've got some questions about this, and I'm sure you're going to have some questions about, like, really 2 hours kind of thing. So,
okay.
So Mark, I hope you address that with us a little bit.
We'll talk about that for sure, Les, because 2 hours, and you might need to adapt it a little bit for your circumstances, but hopefully there's 2 hours and don't say, 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, 20 minutes there. I'm talking about a 2 hour block. Here's one of the reasons it's so important, is because when we're trying to get in flow, sometimes it takes time.
Yes.
It might take some time to get up to a high level of productivity. And as you can see on the graph on the screen, that if we get distracted, our productivity immediately just plummets. And then we got to work back up, and then it plummets again. The distractions kill the productivity. And there was some research done by UC Irvine, some researchers there. They were studying this, and they calculated that it was 23 minutes for the average person to recover the previous level of productivity that they had before. So
that means every time that your phone buzzes, saying a notification, email, Facebook, a text message, your mind is having to reset 23 minutes to get back to where you need it to be.
Yeah. And so the danger of this is that we just let ourselves respond to whatever comes around instead of instead of single tasking. But if you get in the zone, so to speak, get in flow, your productivity level can get up high and stay high. And that's one of it's actually researchers show also that if you can get in the flow on a regular basis, you're going to have higher levels of happiness and satisfaction. Obviously your productivity is higher too, and stress is lower. This is it's an awesome experience to have. I don't think we have it as often as we could, but think of the massive productivity gains in addition to those other benefits that you can have from single tasking. In the worksheet that I invited you to print off, there's one of the sections is how are you going to implement this? And so I'd like you to give some thought to that right now. How can you implement this strategy tomorrow?
Yeah, so take a little bit of time, think about it today. Use your worksheet, and if you didn't print it out, write it down on a piece of paper.
Just get out some note paper.
And Mark's going to share some ideas of how we could implement this.
Yeah, so the worksheet I gave you obviously has the blanks in it, but I'm also, after the webinar, we're going to send you a completed worksheet. And so this is some examples that we filled in of how someone might choose to implement this. They say, I have a big project that I've been putting off. Tomorrow I'll work on this project and nothing else from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. During this time, I will be able to complete the report and presentation slides that I've been putting off for so long. Then I'll be ready to practice another day. I will notify my coworkers that I am unavailable during this time. Internet browser will be closed. Phone is in airplane mode.
So notice some language here. These are bullet points that are written down here. If you will actually write this out in a sentence structure and use terms like I will, there's power in using those terms. I'm going to do this. I am unavailable. I'm going to tell my coworkers. You're actually visualizing what's going to happen tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And so it's a strong mindset development.
Yeah, creating those scenarios and writing it out that way, Les, exactly like you're describing, makes you more likely to do it.
Okay, so Mark, one question here. I'm anticipating what some of the people think about, because I know it's a question I had. 2 hours. That's a long time to sit there and concentrate on one task, and especially if we're not used to doing that.
Yes.
What's some strategies we could use to work our way into that?
Yeah. Well, first off, you're implying, and I think you're exactly right, Les, that we can train ourselves to do this better, and it does take some time. You might think, well, do I need to start off small? I wouldn't. I would still try to get a 2-hour block of time, because it can take, like I said, especially if you haven't trained your mind to work in this way, it can take even an hour before you get into that higher level, that optimal level of performance. And so you need to give yourself some space to get into it. One of the things that can really help, though, is doing what I call a sprint. Do some sort of sprint thing that's really concrete. Like, I can accomplish this fast and be able to check it off. And so you will define, okay, I'm going to work on this. And one way to do that is called the Pomodoro technique, which means you set a timer for 25 minutes and you focus and you sprint for 25 minutes. And as soon as the timer goes off, you put down the mouse, put down the pen, whatever, and you take a 5-minute break. So you work for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break. And during that break, you get to just detach, refresh, take a walk.
But this isn't a break to go check email and text messages.
No. Not allowed.
We're still in the flow. We're still being focused. And in fact, I know one mentor of mine actually uses an old-fashioned kitchen timer to do the 25 minutes or the 20 minutes kind of thing, rather than the timer on his phone, because again, that puts that distraction right in there. So something to consider. So
it makes me think maybe this friend that you're talking about, his phone is in the other room, so it won't distract him.
It's a good idea. It's like right now, my phone, airplane mode, it's not where I can get to it. So that I can be focused on what I'm doing here. So
that's a great suggestion. You can do some push-ups, some squats, take a drink of water, but then you go back to it and you think about it. If you did 4 Pomodoros, your 2 hours is up.
Okay, so a quick recap. 2-hour focus time period.
No distractions.
No distractions. Break it up into 3 or 4 segments if you needed to do that. Sprint.
Yeah.
Take a rest, sprint, take a rest.
And just one other thing is you might be working on more than one thing, but there are things you have predetermined that you're going to work on. You're going to say, I'm doing these 3 projects that are really important to me. And if you get kind of exhausted with one, you immediately switch to the other one. That kind of cognitive switching does not kill your productivity.
Okay, very good. Okay, so let's move on to strategy number 2. And this is dealing with email, something we all deal with. Mark, you're going to teach us about 2 times a day, only checking 2 times a day.
2 times a day and only twice. This is fun to think about. How are you going to do this? Okay, this is what it means is that you choose 2 times each day that you'll work on email for a set amount of time. And once you get into that time, you will have to prioritize and see what emails have come in, check your inbox, and process through those emails the best you can. But when the time is up that you've said you would stop, you actually stop. You're done. And then you come back to your email at the next predetermined time. But let's kind of get a scope for what we're dealing with here. We're going to ask you guys to get involved again. Get in the poll. I'm going to put up a poll and ask you, how many emails do you get each day? And would love to just get a scope. Like, what are we dealing with here? And man, I get a lot of emails, and I would say there's several that I just know I immediately delete within 2 or 3 seconds. But then the other ones that I have to open up, look at, and process.
Yeah, there are some emails that we each receive that are urgent. They're priority emails. You know you've got to do something with them. But then there's a lot of emails that, maybe we want to come back to them. Maybe they get, dropped into a specific folder for later reading. But then there's probably a lot of emails that we always got to clean it out and things that we just keep getting. I did some of that this morning. I unsubscribed from about 12 different things this morning.
Did you? Wow.
It was really refreshing. So, okay,
that's great.
No more of those coming through because I don't ever read them. I haven't read them for months. So why are they still coming through?
Yeah. And I worked with a coaching client who said he would get like 75 urgent emails every day.
Wow.
So urgent means, it's coming from his boss or his boss's boss or a coworker who's depending on him to follow through on something. He was overwhelmed. And he one day I was meeting with him. He said, I have 400 emails right now that I need to take action on.
Wow.
He was so overwhelmed.
So hopefully most of us aren't dealing with that level, but whatever level we are, and we're seeing some input here from you, and we're going to close this poll here in just about 10, 15 more seconds. So please give us your input, and then we'll be able to move on. And so,
yeah, so this is fun to see here. 75% of the audience said they get 50 to 100 emails. That's about the amount I get too.
Yep, I fit right into that as well.
No one reported getting more than 100, which is good. And then 25% said 20 to 50 emails. This is really fun to see. The coaching client I told you about had 400 in his inbox. By implementing this technique, he got it down to inbox 0. And he reported how much peace of mind it gave him. It was just awesome for him.
Very good.
But there's some surveys that have been done that the average person gets 72 emails a day. So that fits in right with the average.
Fits in right where you all are saying you were at.
Yeah, and 86% of professionals list email as their favorite mode of communication. We love email, and guess what? A lot of the fires that we face, they're burning up in our inbox. That's why we're talking about this.
That's right.
One of the reasons this strategy can be so helpful is because sometimes we treat email the same way an assembly line worker treats the next widget that's supposed to come down the line. It's like someone has worked on the widget and then they pass it down, and now it's your turn to do something with it. So your boss has, crafted an email, gave you some action items, and then it comes to you. If your email inbox is open all day, then it's almost like your job has turned into sitting on the assembly line, waiting for the next email to come in, waiting for someone to hand off work to you. And that is a very stressful way to work. Even if you don't notice it, it's low level stress that's prolonged and persistent over a long period of time. The better way, I think, is to figure out how you can process emails just at these predetermined times. One of the reasons, though, that we have a hard time doing this is because, like it or not, you kind of like the notification that something new has arrived in your inbox.
Yeah, whether it's an email or social media or a text, when that little buzz or chime goes off, the little light on our phone lights up, woo! We get that dopamine rush, and it's a real thing that, ask yourself. Each of you have probably experienced something like that.
Yeah, you think about it. It's not just email; it's our social media that some people have open all the time. As soon as the chime comes in, we say, "Oh, got to check it." The text messages. A lot of what we're trying to talk about in this presentation is how do we train ourselves to respond to stimuli a little bit differently. So yeah, we get a dopamine high, but we have to look at the negative consequences too.
Okay, so now's the time. Get your worksheet out and start thinking of how you would implement this strategy of checking email just 2 times a day. And, we probably apply this to our social media as well. And so, Mark, give us some ideas of how you could do this.
Well, I'll just share what we've put on the completed worksheet. Say, I will check email from 8:30 to 9 in the morning. And then once again, at the end of the day, 3:30 to 4 in the afternoon. I think I can process all my emails in this time. While going through my emails, I will not work on anything else. This will be distraction-free time.
So kind of step number 1 was focus efforts. And so use that same technique in your email checking time. And in the 15 minutes or 30 minutes that you're going to process your email, focus only on that. And again, notice the language here. I will. I think I can. This is powerful visualization training to help our mind get past just the tips and techniques to actually become a mindset rather than just a hack or a tip that we work on. So, okay, Mark, let's move to strategy number 3, delegation.
Okay, this is the last strategy we're going to talk about. It's about doing less instead of more. We don't want to focus on being faster and busier and getting more done. We want to see if there's things that we could actually do less of. And so delegating a task is what we're asking you to do. Pick one thing that you could hand off to somebody else and maybe never do again. Here's how you could do it. Choose a task that regularly distracts you from more important activities. I want to give a few scenarios here, okay? Because we're talking about tasks that maybe you enjoy doing. Maybe there's little things where you love being the go-to person whenever the printers go offline. People run to you and they're like, hey, the printers went offline. Can you help us get them back on? Get the printers connected to the computers again. And you're like, oh yeah, I love being so helpful. But maybe because you're the go-to person, people come to you the instant it happens, and it's a distraction from the single tasking time that maybe where you're trying to get your most important stuff done.
And this, wherever you are, whatever position you're in, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're a corporate 500, you think about the activities that you kind of get dragged into, whether they be busy work, and think about, okay, what can I do differently here with this?
Yeah. So after you've decided what you're going to do, you're going to write down, just write down how to get it done in a way that someone else will understand. And then the next time it needs to be done, you just take that piece of paper or, whatever, an electronic note, and you give it to someone else and you teach them how to do it. And you try to see if they can, take over that important duty, that urgent duty instead of you.
Okay, so Mark, do you mind if I ask a little question, explore some of this? So what if you're like I am, an entrepreneur, and you don't have a lot of employees to be able to pass on these tasks to?
Yeah, so that's a great point that I think the concept and principle of delegation is important for every single one of us, regardless of how big of a team we have. It's important. How do we get rid of certain things that don't add a lot of value? And so it might look differently for the solo entrepreneur. It might look like them delegating, outsourcing through technology,
Okay.
or through a contractor that works with them to take on different compliance tasks.
Those are really good suggestions. I know those are things that I've been able to do. Some things that I've outsourced rather than even some of the things that I could do myself. By outsourcing it, it's freed up my time to focus on the things that I do best.
Yes, I love that. And you've told me some of the ways that you do that. I think that's so valuable, so that, you're maximizing your contribution to your business.
That's right. There's one other thing, Mark, I've really learned in this, and this applies again across the board. There are some things that we do that can just simply go away. They don't need to be delegated. They don't need to be outsourced. They just need to go away.
Be removed from what we do.
Yeah, and a lot of busy work can fall into that. Things that can just literally be taken away. So give us some ideas, Mark, of how we could implement this.
I hope all of you are getting some ideas. How are you going to implement this? What's the task that you could delegate maybe even tomorrow? Here's a scenario. I can't wait to delegate the replacement and ordering of toner cartridges for our printer. I don't know how I ended up being the only person in the office that knows how to do that, but I'll write down instructions and teach John how to do it. He's requested that I do this in the past, and I thought I was too busy to teach him. However, if he becomes the go-to guy instead of me, I'll save about 4 hours of work time a month. Yes.
Okay, notice the language again. This is language that helps you visualize, it helps you plan out, helps your mind make that transition in preparation for things that you will actually do.
Yeah. So, Les, I'd like to just do a quick recap.
Okay.
We gave you 3 strategies. I hope you've written down 3 implementation plans for how you can take action.
Okay, number 1 was?
Number 1, single task. Working on one thing for 2 hours tomorrow. 2-hour block of time. You work on predetermined activities and nothing else. No distractions get in your way.
Okay, and number 2?
Okay, number 2 is the email. That you check email 2 times a day at predetermined times, and only for a specified period of time, and then you stop and you wait for the next time when you've given yourself the permission to work on email.
Okay, and
number 3 is delegate a task. Find something that has been a cause of firefighting for you, and see if you can't delegate it to someone else, or like you said, maybe remove it. Just stop doing it.
Exactly. So at this time period, we're inviting your questions that you can, things that we've shared for now. Again, there's nothing, this isn't rocket science that we've shared. And a lot of people, you already know these kind of things, but go ahead and share some questions with you. We've had some questions that have come in offline previously that we will be addressing as well, but we invite your questions. So go ahead and hop on there on the right side of your screen into the chat box and share your questions or make a comment that we can discuss.
Sure. One of the questions that often comes up, Les, if I can just share this, is about the email. Is some people think that that they should respond. There's maybe it's from a customer, important clients, that they need to respond immediately when those emails come in. Do you have any thoughts about that?
I'm in that mode that there are a lot of times I think, oh yeah, I've got to respond immediately because of the timeliness of it. And you know what, and truth be known, sometimes that is the case. If you're particularly on a tight deadline or something like that. Okay, we all know when those come up, but let's talk about what happens the majority of the time. Mm-hmm. The majority of the emails that we receive do not, even if they do feel urgent, even if they're marked urgent, don't necessarily need to be responded to immediately. Yeah. If it's a couple hours before you respond, the world's not going to burn down by doing that, and you're actually going to be more in control. So when you do get into your email block of time, you're going to be able to be focused because you're not going to have distractions.
Yeah.
You're going to focus on handling those emails right at that time period.
What you said, I agree with that. Sometimes we create the urgency. It's like it's a figment of our imagination, and we make it seem urgent. I had a manager also who would send me emails and say, I need a response within an hour. And I was trying to do this predetermined times. And so there were times when I missed the email because it came at noon and said, I need a response within an hour. And I didn't get to it till 3. And, it was actually really good with my manager to work through that and negotiate how we communicate as a team. And my manager was willing to say, oh, okay, I realized that when I have an urgent request, email isn't the way that I'm going to get a fast, rapid response from you. And so we were able to compromise and collaborate on how we communicate. And it became that email was not going to be a place where we needed fast responses, that maybe that would come from a phone call or a text or something differently.
One thing that I would throw out here is as we look at these techniques, it can be really easy for us to say, oh, this will not work for me. This will not work for my situation. And there truly may be some specific situations, or there may be some specific days where things are not going to be able to work the way that we're suggesting. That's all right. Don't lose the principle that's being taught here. Don't lose the principle of focus. Don't lose the principle of the mindset that we're trying to offer some ideas to help you create.
I'd like to go back to Clyde for just a second, Les. This is Clyde. If you on the screen, Clyde is in the midst of the burnout. He arrived at this third town where everything was burned to the ground. And this is representative of us in the midst of our to-do list that's maybe 200 items long. We're trying to get to item 75, and we're just kind of done and lost in the mayhem. Clyde, in the visual, there were dragon tracks sitting right at his feet, and he didn't even know it. Sometimes we get so caught up in these fires that we don't see obvious solutions. They don't seem possible, that it could be that simple.
That's right.
But sometimes they are.
That's right. And that's, as we step away a little bit, as we create some focus, we create some clarity, we create some vision and some perspective. Getting out of the fighting the fire, stepping back, creating some space, creating some time, we're actually able to better see the source of the fire, or in our case, the source of the problems.
And the strategies we've talked about, I think they do exactly that. What you said, creating space, they allow us to step back from our work, see our work in a little bit different light, maybe a little bit higher up, where we have a clearer view of what's happening. And
So these 3 suggestions aren't just tips to put together at the moment to fix the moment. They're designed to create vision, perspective, some space, some time to help you get a better focus and a better vision of really the whole picture that you're working with, and how you can prevent some of those fires by really being able to manage and run your own schedule, your own attitudes, and those that you work with and are responsible for.
That's right. I'd like to share in the chat, a question came in. This person said, our company initiated instant message recently in our office. People can tell whether you are at your desk or not, and then expect immediate answer. How would you best deal with these distractions? Just handle it and move on? One question that immediately comes to mind is, are you expected to respond immediately? This is a tough scenario, and thanks for this comment. But is it part of the culture or expectation of your company that you would respond immediately? Is there a need then also for you to respond immediately?
Right.
And I would say that we have to communicate, because a lot of these changes, maybe we don't work in enough of a vacuum to really be able to implement these on our own. But in collaboration with our teams, we say, hey, I know we have this instant message. It's really helpful for certain times, but hey, just to let you guys know, I'm trying to do single tasking for 2 hours a day where I'm not available. And just to let you know, that instant message isn't going to be turned on at that time. But whenever I am able to respond immediately, you'll see that I'm available on the instant message. And if you respond when it says I'm available, then I'll try to respond as fast as I can.
Yeah. And think about it, whether it's instant messaging, email, or we have so much communication, whether it's inter-office or with clients or customers out of office over our cell phones, there's always going to be these things that are always coming through. We've got to work together with our team, with our coworkers, or with the culture that we're either part of or else we're shaping, to find what's the best way for all of us to move forward.
Yeah.
So look for the principles here, and how do you execute the principles? So Jason, really good specific question there. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we love that question. And I've used instant message with some of the jobs that I've had to. And I hope that it's not the expectation that you always have to have it turned on. I hope there's a way to turn it on and off. And thank you so much. I hope these strategies can help you deal with that situation. The dragon is there. We just have to find it. So we've talked a lot about some techniques, what might be considered, tools, tips, and tricks. We want to share these with you because sometimes we need, we love hacks as humans. We love, what's the shortcut? And these things that we've shared today can certainly be that. However, our end goal is to move towards habits and mindset, so that we take these little practices that we're doing, but they become part of our operating system, part of the way that we operate and conduct our work. They become part of our habits, and they influence our mindset, just like who we are as professionals and as people and as humans.
That's right. And that's where real productive change takes place, is when because our brain can literally change, our mind can literally change. And these tips and tools can help us get there. And then with the mindset shift, we find ourselves being able to do other things, harder things, because we get better vision, better clarity, we get space, we get time.
I agree. So as we've gone through this, you might be asking, okay, if I implemented this, what would I do with all my spare time? Or
I know you don't believe that. You don't believe spare time is going to happen, but it will, because you're going to get, again, that vision and that clarity.
Yeah, or maybe you're having a hard time deciding what would you spend your time on when you single task. What really is your most important work? Because that's what we're going for, is effectiveness, working on the right things. So how do you figure that out? Well, we've created a tool to help you do that. It's called Performance Improvement Toolkit, to discover and then accomplish your most important work.
Yeah, so this is a great tool, and Mark's going to share some of the specifics of this tool, of what you can get from this and how it can help you.
Yeah, so it's an online professional development course designed for professionals, designed for you. It gives you step-by-step activities and processes to discover and then execute your most important work. And it was created by an experienced instructional designer.
Okay, and that experienced instructional designer is Mark.
Yeah, that's something I do in my profession. Yeah, is design learning experiences for people.
Yeah, so this is a course that Mark has developed with his years of experience in this world, specifically designed to help you accomplish some of the things we've been talking about.
That's right. I want to go through some of the modules. There's 12 modules. And the first one that I'm going to talk about is called Clarify Your Mission. And it's about expressing and clarifying what your organizational mission is, so that it can be described in a simple and precise way. If it's simple and precise, then you'll be able to determine whether the other things that come next will align with the mission. So the first step is clarifying the mission.
Okay.
The next one is align your results. So you know exactly, are you working towards results that contribute to the accomplishment of the mission? Then you'll look at all the work activities that you do, all the things you're responsible for, the tasks and timelines and reports that you have to do, and you'll categorize them. And we give you 3 categories that are really helpful to put them into these buckets so that you know what's busy work, what's valuable work. And then along that process, along that strategy, you map out the processes to pinpoint exactly how is value created at different stages. And that tells you when you're doing things that don't add value.
That's right.
That shows you what you could delete or try to delegate or figure out how to work around those.
You know, as I've been going through this course, Mark, I've really found that this is really helping me to get some clarity, help me to align my, the work that I'm trying to do. And it's really creating a roadmap that I can follow. It's helped me put some systems in place. So it's really been helpful for me.
I love hearing that, Les. Thank you. Module 7 is about measuring and evaluating our work. So as we go along, are we on track? And so it's about key performance indicators. What are the indicators of success? How do you look at your past activities and see if they're leading you where you need to go? And then how do you measure going forward to make sure that you remain headed in the right direction?
Very good.
The next module is systematize. Once you've defined what's important, you can automate and delegate and simplify your own work, and then also figure out if there's compliance work that doesn't add value, how you can shift that into other directions through systematization. You will create space. So we've talked about some strategies with that, but this goes even deeper into how to create space between you and the fire. And one of the most important things, I think, to become a dragon slayer, personally. Working in flow, this is very closely related to strategy 1 and 2 that we shared with you. How do you maximize productivity and just get your most important work done?
And in this module here, we'll really take the ideas that we talked about today, like the 2-hour block of time, check an email twice. Really, it will help you take that to the next level and really get in a flow type mindset, not just a flow habit.
Yes, and we give you checklists and processes and tips and systems even for how you can work in flow on a regular basis.
Very good.
But along the way, we get stuck.
Sometimes life happens.
Life happens. There's pitfalls, there's hurdles. And so there's a module dedicated to the tips that we need to get unstuck so that we can keep moving forward doing what's most important. So part 1 of the course is about effectiveness. It's defining your most important work. And then part 2 is executing on that without getting overwhelmed, getting it done. This is a self-paced online course that you would take at your own availability. There's 12 practical, actionable modules, plus 5 bonus modules that we'll tell you about in a minute. It's been designed and carefully crafted within the website. There's activities, exercises, so that you can put into practice immediately the things that you're learning. And it's accessible on any electronic device, computer, tablet, or your cell phone. And it's optimized there and works beautifully on all those devices. So there's some bonus items that come with it. One is a digital workbook that we've created that helps you take notes, takes you through exercises and action plans for how to put the things into practice. There's also a bonus course that comes with it called Problem Solver Pro. And I think this is some of my favorite problem solving tools. One is called gap analysis or needs analysis that helps you define problems. And if you can define problems, you're 90% of the way to the solution.
That's right.
But then you have to also sometimes dig deep to get the root cause. And so one of the modules is about root cause analysis. And then there's one about performance analysis to determine effective solutions to problems. And so, yeah, Problem Solver Pro is a $99 value. It comes free with this course. And in addition, you get exclusive access to the Facebook group where you'll be part of a community of people to support you as you go through the course. You can ask questions. Les and I are in there, and it's a vibrant community to support to get support along the way.
Yeah, and this is one of the bonuses that you will really find the most valuable, because you can ask questions, you can give input, kind of concept we talked previously. You learn something and then you share it. You ask a question, receive, and then share. And this community will be a great place to be able to do that and reinforce the things that you're learning.
Yeah. So so this is the package: lifetime access to the course. The digital workbook comes with it. The bonus course called Problem Solver Pro, access to the Facebook group, $799 value, and for the next 7 days, you can get it for $197. That's part of a special webinar offer that we're offering to all of you. But we want to make it as easy as possible. So we're removing all the barriers. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee. You can sign up for the course and try it risk-free. Anytime within 30 days, you can contact us if you're not getting the results you need, and we'll give you your money back. No questions asked. We just want to make it as easy for you as possible to make the decision.
That's right. So think about the things that you've learned today. Think about the techniques and tips that we've shared. Tips that really will make a difference, and say, okay, if I'm ready you can go implement those. Those are things that you can do on your own. And if you're ready to go to that next level, you're ready to say, yeah, I know I need to do something, which several of you that are on the course today have mentioned that to me, ready to do something different, ready to make some changes. This could be a tool that could really help you create some significant difference. So can I share just one insight or one kind of testimonial people have shared with us?
Please.
Looking there on your screen, this is from one of the persons that went through this course. The Performance Improvement Toolkit helped me to quickly identify my strategic work and how it directly ties to my organization's goals. I was able to tease out and eliminate much of the day-to-day work that didn't contribute to those goals, which saved me about an hour every day. Due to the tools I learned in the Performance Improvement Toolkit, I have freed up my time and my schedule to think and contribute to strategic goals that improve my ability to really make a difference.
So how are you going to get started with this? Well, there's 3 steps. One is click the enroll button. Sorry, one sec.
Little technical detail there for just a second.
Okay. There's an enroll button in the sidebar, and it will take you to a page where you can create an account and then get instant access to the course. This offer, like we said, will be available for 7 days. We'll send you an email just so that you can have this information as well. And that'll be part of the webinar replay email. So keep an eye out for that.
So thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us. You've invested 60 minutes with us. We hope you've found value in this. And if nothing else, if you take the notes that you have made, the 3 suggestions that we've shared with you, and start working on those. And use those. Start today. Plan out what you're going to do tomorrow. And then if you're ready to do something a little bit different, for the next 7 days, we've got this Performance Improvement Toolkit open for you. Again, that's been developed by Mark McKenna, and it's a great course. I'm going through that course right now, and I'm really enjoying the things that I'm learning through it. So
good. I'm glad, Les.
Here's the fun part.
Yeah. We are so grateful that you joined us today. This was an investment of your time, and you spend it here with us. We told you at the end we had a gift for you. We are going to send a PDF version of Put Out the Fires to your inbox. It's coming in the next hour or 2, straight to your email. If you, for some reason, don't get it, contact us. We'll send it to you. We're just so grateful that you were willing to spend time with us today, and we hope that it has been very valuable.
So take this beautiful story, enjoy the beautiful pictures in it, and have fun with it. Read it to your kids or to your grandkids, but then find the principle underneath with it.
That's right. So that's it, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for hanging out with us for an hour.
It's time to go slay some dragons.
Bye, everybody.